So to get this chevron dress started, we're first going to need to measure out where we first want the bottom of the v-neck to be. And then for me, that's going to be around my bust. So I went ahead and measured that, and I have a total of 30 inches. So I'm just going to make a chain with my category 4 yarn, insert my 5mm hook, and make a chain of whatever amount you have. So once we have our chain, we're going to connect it to the other end with a slip stitch. But right before we do that, we're just going to run our thumb along one side to make sure it's all facing one direction. Once we have that, insert it into the first chain that we made with a slip stitch. And once we've connected with the slip stitch, what we're going to do next is chain up one, and then we're going to put one single crochet into every loop that we have. And once we make it all the way around, we're going to connect with a slip stitch, and I will be doing regular rows of single crochet for 1 inch or 4 rows, and I will be decreasing into the 5th row. So I'll meet you back once we have that done. So once we made our way all the way around with our first row of single crochet, we're going to do more rows of single crochet until we have 1 inch, but I will say that for every row, we're going to chain up one, and then whichever way we came from, we're going to end up going back that way. So since I came up this way, I'm going to flip my work. And don't mind this being small, this is just an example, but flip my work and then go back the way that we came, so that once when we start to do the upper back and the chest portion, when it goes back and forth, it'll all match. But keep doing this, and then like I said, once we get to the 5th row, we will be doing our decreases. So we now have our 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4 of just regular single crochet going all the way around. Once when we got back, we worked back the way that we came, and now we're about to do our 5th row, and our 5th row is decreases. So we're going to chain up one, flip our work because that's the way that we came, and then I like to do my first decrease somewhere near this seam that we have, just because this is going to be on the side and I would like for my arm to cover it. I don't want to see the seam too much, so what I like to do is put 2 single crochet into the next 2 loops. Into that 3rd, we're going to do a decrease. So we're going to insert our hook into that 3rd loop, yarn over, pull through, into that 4th loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3, and that is our decrease. And then from here, we're just going to lay our work down flat and then see the opposite side that we're on, and keep a mental note of this side because we're going to do another decrease on this side. So we made our way around with single crochets, and as you guys can tell, there's no real numbering to this. We just gotta keep an eye out for it. But now that we're on the other side, we're just going to do another decrease on this side. And then from here, continue on with our single crochet going all the way down. Once when we reach the end, we're going to do more rows of non-decrease single crochet rows. And then I'm going to keep going about like this, where I decrease into the 5th row until I get down to my waist, and that's roughly 5 to 5.5 inches. But I'll meet you guys once we get there so we can start expanding for our hips. So this is what my top body portion is looking like once when I have reached my waist. I actually have 31 rows of single crochet, and then that equals to amount of 6 inches. I know I told you guys 5 to 5.5, but I tried this on every now and then, and 6 inches works perfectly for me. And now we're going to need to start expanding for the hips. And from here, what we're going to do, you guys are brilliant, so I'm sure you guys already know, we're going to chain up one, flip our work because we're going to work back the same way that we came. And then from here, we're going to do an increase of just 2. And I don't like to do it into right next to the seam, so I'm just going to do 2 single crochet into the next 2 loops. And then into this 3rd, I'm going to do an increase of 2. So here's 1 single crochet and another single crochet into the same loop. And this is going to be the same. So once when you lay this flat, it's going to be the same as the decrease. I just realized I didn't finish that sentence. But once when you lay this flat, you're going to keep an eye on the other side and where you want to increase on the other side as well. And then you're going to increase on that side. And I will be putting 1 increase on both sides until I get the size that I need, but you guys can obviously increase more if you need to or not, and I'm going to keep doing this until I get to where I want the chevron pattern to start. So this is going to keep going down until maybe mid-thigh, maybe a couple inches above mid-thigh, but I'll meet you back once we have that done. So once we're done with the length of the dress, now we're going to start working on the first part of the chevron pattern that we're going to do. And the first thing that you're going to want to do is count out how many loops you have. For example, I have 112 loops. So we're going to figure out a number that's divisible by whatever number you have. My number is 14, so we're going to work on our first peak, and that is going to fill out the 1st through the 14th loops. So I went ahead and already figured mine out. All of ours is going to be different. So we're just going to insert our hook, chain up 1 to secure. And then in order to get down to the 14th loop, I will be inserting our hook into the first loop with a half double crochet, into the next with a half double crochet. Into the next 2 loops, we will be doing 1 double crochet. So here's 1 and 2. Into the next, we're going to be doing a treble crochet. And then into the one after that, we're going to be doing a quad. Yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, 2 and 2. And then if we did that correctly, we should be halfway, and I did go into the first 7 loops, and then from here we're going to be doing the same sequence that we just did but in reverse. And then from there we're going to restart this pattern, and we're going to do that all the way around. So we've made our way all the way around with these little mini pillar pyramids that we just did, and now we're going to start doing the chevron pattern. And from here I'm switching out my colors. I'm going to pull that color through, chain up 1 to secure, and then I'm going to be putting 1 single crochet into every loop that we have until we get down to where our single crochets were, and then we're going to be doing a decrease. So I put 1 single crochet into every loop, and as you can see, these are our 2 single crochet loops in the previous row, and then we're just going to do a decrease. So we're going to insert our hook in through the first loop, yarn over, pull through the second, yarn over, pull through all 3, and then we're going to be decreasing into every loop that we have until we get down here for the remainder of the chevron. And then we're going to continue on with putting 1 single crochet into every loop until we get to these high points into the ups, and then we will be doing an increase. So now that we've made it to our ups, we actually have 2 middle points in our previous row of our pyramid. So all we're going to do is do 1 single crochet into the first loop. We're going to chain 2 and then go into the next one with another single crochet. But if you just have 1 loop in the middle, then you're going to do the same thing but into the middle loop. But from here we're just going to continue on with this pattern, doing our decreases and our increases, going all the way around. So we made it all the way around with our first row of just regular single crochets, and then I connected with a slip stitch, and then I also have already tied in our secondary color if you are doing that. And I'm just going to show you guys how to do the next row, and this next row is going to be the same for the rest of the chevron pattern that you're doing. But all we're going to do is put 1 single crochet into every loop that we have until we get down to the decrease, and I'll show you guys how to decrease there because it's going to be a little bit different than how we did the previous row. So we've done our single crochet, and as you can see, this is where we decreased in the previous row. And then I'm just going to skip this loop and then go into the next loop with another single crochet. So this is our new version of our decrease. So we're just skipping that middle loop. And then we're going to single crochet once into every loop, going up to our increase. And then when we are in our increase, we're going to put 1 single crochet, chain 2, and then put another single crochet into that increase. And then single crochet once into every loop, going back down. And then this is going to be the remainder of the skirt, like I said. So go ahead and keep going until you're done. When you get the length that you want, go ahead and cut and tie. So once we have the bottom chevron all finished, we are going to now work our way up to the top, and we're going to start working on, these aren't cups, but where the V-neck starts. And as you guys can see, I've already gotten one done, and I did separate them, and the only thing that you guys got to do to separate them is lay it flat and just kind of figure out where each side is. And then I just double checked, I counted out each loop on both sides, make sure they're about the same. If it's 1 or 2 off, that's totally fine. But when we have this cut in half, we're going to cut one of them in half. That's what this marker is. And then that is where one of our V-neck sides is going to start. And then as you guys can see, I didn't go into these first 2 loops just because I wanted to leave that for the collar. So you guys can, make them touch, make them not touch, whatever you guys want to do. But I'm going to go in to this loop using my same hook, grab my same yarn, insert that onto my hook, and then for the first row I'm just going to do a regular row of single crochet all the way down to our side marker. Once we put 1 row of single crochet all the way down from marker to marker, what we're going to do is chain up 1, flip our work, and then do another row of single crochet, but instead of putting one single crochet into every loop, we're going to leave the last two because we're going to do a decrease. So we've made it all the way down with our single crochet, and we left the last two loops, and we're just going to do a really quick decrease. How we do that, we're going to insert our hook into the first loop, yarn over, pull through, my bad, into the next loop, yarn over, pull through all three, and then that's how we decrease. Then from here we're going to chain up one and flip our work, and then once we've flipped our work, we're going to put one single crochet into every loop going back down. And then, as you guys guessed, we did a solid row of single crochet, a decrease row, and then another solid row of single crochet. And I'm just going to keep alternating between doing a solid row of single crochet and a decrease. And remember, we're only decreasing on one side because we only need one side for the v-neck. And I'm going to keep doing that until I get the length that I need, until it hits the tip of my shoulder. So this is what we have for the v-neck portion of the dress. And now we're going to work on the back, but this is going to be done in two parts. So we're going to flip our work, and as you can see, I have already measured out where I want my back to start. Don't mind all of these stragglers. These will be put away nicely very soon because they're driving me nuts. But anyways, as you can see, I've already put a marker down here, and we are just going to do one really quick solid back from this row to the same row on the other side. We're just going to call it a cup really quick, even though it's not technically a cup, but just for video's sake. But we're just going to connect this, and then when that's connected, then we're going to do the back flap so that we can put in our arms. And I went ahead and measured mine out. This is where I want it. This is basically going to be where your underarm is, because if we just leave it like this, then the sleeve is going to be ginormous. So with all of that information, we're going to insert our hook in through this bottom corner right here. We're going to grab our yarn. And when I say corner, I don't mean this corner where this row is. It's actually going to be into the side of the cup. The first loop that we can insert our hook into is going to be where we insert it. That makes sense, right? I think I just said the same thing twice. Anyways, we're going to insert our yarn, pull through, chain up one to secure like always. And then from here, we're going to put one row of single crochet all the way around. And then once we get to this other cup, we're going to connect with a slip stitch, but I'll show you guys how to do that once we get there. So once we put one single crochet into every loop, we're going to slip stitch it into the other side of the cup, like I said, and these aren't going to be any real stitches. So you're just going to want to take a look and see where each row of our cups are, and then just find the nearest loop. And then insert your hook with a slip stitch. And then from here, we're going to work our way up to the next loop with a slip stitch, flip our work, and then single crochet all the way back down. And this isn't going to be anything fancy, no decreases, no increases, nothing like that. So go ahead and keep going back and forth like that until you reach your underarm, and I'm going to keep going until I reach this mark, and then from there I'll show you guys how to do the back. So this is what I have when we have our attached back piece done, and now we're going to do our detached back piece, which is just going to be rows of single crochet with no increases or decreases, and we're going to do that until we have the same amount of rows that we have in the front. So we didn't cut and tie because we don't need to. Once we get here, all we're going to do is chain up one and put one single crochet into every loop that we have. Once we get to the end, we're going to chain up one, flip our work, and then work our way back and keep going back and forth like that. And then once we have that, we're going to attach it to the front parts. So once we're done doing the back chunk, now we can connect it to the front cup, is what we're calling it. So all we're going to do is take a look at it from the front, and then we're just going to single crochet the two top layers together, but we do want the seams to be on the inside. As you can see, I've already done one side, and my seam is right here on the inside. You can flip the entire dress around, but that is a lot of work for me to do right now. So what I like to do is grab the two outside corners and then just kind of flip it inside out onto each other. And then I'm going to insert my hook into these two corners, and then when we're done, we're going to flip it back, and then the seam's going to be on the inside. But this is going to be super easy, same way that we always attach stuff, just with a single crochet. So insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through, then we're going to chain up one to secure, and from here we're going to insert our hook into the next loop that we have on one side, and then into the same loop that we have but on the back side. And then we're going to single crochet to secure it together. And then we're going to do that all the way down until we get to the end of the front cup. So right about here, and then we're going to cut and tie, and then if you haven't done it to the other side already, go ahead and do that. Once we have our seam, we're going to just flip it inside out, and as you can see, our seam is on the inside just like how we wanted. And then now all we have to do is put a row of single crochet along the outside of the armhole. So that is pretty easy peasy. I just like to start at the bottom somewhere, it doesn't matter where, but I'm going to insert my hook. Grab our yarn, make a slip knot, insert that onto our hook, and then from here, put one single crochet into each of these somewhat sides that we have, and then once we make it all the way around, go ahead and cut and tie. We're going to do the same thing to the other side as well, but when you do the same thing to the other side, you're going to want to make sure that there's the same amount of loops on both sides, otherwise it'll affect how the sleeves lay on the dress. So once we're done connecting the front and the back portion of the dress, now we're going to start working on the sleeve. So before we start working on it, we're going to need to count out, see how many loops that we have in total. So I have about, if I'm remembering correctly, 46. I have about 46 loops, and we're just going to keep that in mind. We're not going to implement that number right away. But what we're going to do, we're going to grab our sleeve color yarn, make a slip knot, and then we're first off going to start by making a chain of 2. So here's 1, 2, block off that last chain, chain up 1, and then we're going to be increasing in both of these loops. So here's 1 single crochet into the first loop. We're going to do 1 more into that first loop. Then we're going to put 2 into the next loop. And this is the beginning of our sleeve, and this is on top of our shoulder. From here, we're going to chain up 1, flip our work, and then we're just going to be increasing into the first loop. So put 2 single crochet into the first loop, 1 single crochet into every loop in between, and then put another increase of 2 into this last loop. And then we're going to keep doing this until we have the same amount of loops as we have that we counted on the dress. So I had 46, like I said, so I'm going to keep going until I have 46 loops, increasing on both ends. So I did all my increases until I had the same amount of loops as I had for the sleeve, and now we're going to start working on the sleeve portion, because this is for the shoulder. And then from here, I did put markers in. This isn't necessary, this is just what I like to do for when we put in the row of single crochet in later, so that it's easier to see how we're going to connect it to the dress. But once we're here, we're going to chain up 1, flip our work, and then my sleeve is actually a little bit bigger than my arm, so I'm going to need to start doing some decreases. So into this first loop, we're going to decrease. So we're going to insert our hook to the first loop, yarn over, pull through, into the next one, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3, and then single crochet once into every loop, leaving the last 2 loops because we're going to decrease into this loop as well. So we have left the last 2 loops, like I said, and we're going to do another decrease. So insert your hook into the next loop, yarn over, pull through, and into the last loop into this row, yarn over, pull through all 3. And then I'm going to keep doing decreases into every other row until this gets small enough to hug tightly around my arm. But then once when we get there, we're going to do rows of just regular single crochet until we need to decrease again. But I'll meet you back once we have that done, and I'll tell you guys my measurements after that. So I'm just about done with the solid portion of the sleeve. Now we're going to start doing the chevron. But before we do that, I just wanted to show you guys what I had. I know that I said that you can start decreasing whenever you need it, and I kept putting this to myself and I actually didn't need to decrease. That's why mine is solid, but if you guys need to, then go ahead and do that as well. And just to let you guys know, from this tip all the way down to this blunt end, I have 14 inches. So now we're going to start doing the chevron for the bottom of the sleeve, and this is going to be the same way that we did the bottom of the dress. So one more time really quickly, I counted out how many loops that I had, and then I figured out where the middle was, since this is, smaller. I figured out where the middle was, and then I found those 2 middle sections, and then from there we're going to start doing increases until we get to this middle part, and then we're going to decrease until we get to this middle marker that we have right here. So we're going to chain up 1, flip our work, and then from here, this is going to be different for everyone. We're going to insert our hook into the first loop with single crochet. I did 2 single crochets into the first 2 loops. We're going to do 2 half double crochets. I'm going to do 2 double crochets, and then 2 treble crochets into the next 2 loops. And then we have finally met the middle, so we're going to do a quad crochet. like a treble, but we're going to be yarning over one extra time. So this is a treble, we yarn over twice, yarn over one more time, and then yarn over, insert our hook, pull through, yarn over, pull through two, pull through two, pull through two, pull through two, and that is our quad. And then now that we've reached the middle, now we're going to be working our way back down. So we're going to do the same sequence that we did here, but in reverse. And now we are here. We have started our first row of chevron. Now we're going to introduce our introduce our next color. So from here, we're going to grab our next color, just fold it over our finger, and then we're just going to pull this on through. Then we're going to cut the original color and tie the two tail ends together. And then from here, we're going to chain up one, flip our work, and then we're going to be putting one single crochet into every loop that we have. Once we get up to the high point that we have, it could be one, it could be two, depending on what you have, we're going to be doing an increase. All right, so I'm at my high point. I'm going to insert my hook into this loop, put one single crochet into that loop, chain two, and then put another single crochet into the same loop, and that counts as our increase. And then we're going to keep going until we get down here, down to the middle, and then we're going to do a decrease. And then how we do a decrease, once when we get to the two middle loops, insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, into the next loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all three, just like the other decreases that we've been doing. And then from here, put one single crochet. We're going to increase when we get to the next peak, and then we're actually just going to keep going until you get the length of the sleeve that you want. And I will be switching out my colors as well, but I'll show you that when I'm done with my entire sleeve. So I know that I'm a few rows in, don't mind this, but at the ends we are going to do decreases as well as doing a decrease in the middle. So from here, we're going to chain up one, flip our work, insert our hook into the first loop, yarn over, pull through, and we're going to decrease. So insert our hook into the second loop, yarn over, pull through all three. And then from here, single crochet. Once when we get to the peak, do our increase, decrease down here, increase here, and then decrease at the end. And we're going to keep doing this until we get the rest of our sleeve. So this is the sleeve in its entirety. From this point down to the middle point, I have a total of 20 inches. Then from here, in order to connect everything, we just need to do a border of single crochet all the way around. We're going to do a row of single crochet going around the entire thing. Once we get to these inner corners, we're going to do a decrease, and then once we get to these points right here, we're going to do increases, and then I'll show you guys how to do that once we get there. So we finally made it to this inner corner, and now we just need to do a quick little decrease since we're here. And then I left one loop right before, so I'm going to insert my hook into that last loop on this row, yarn over, pull through, and then figure out where the next row is on this little chunk that sticks out. Insert our hook, yarn over, pull through all three, and then that is our decrease that we're going to do on the other side as well. And then from here, single crochet. And so we finally made it to this peak, and how we're going to do this is that we're just going to do a quick increase of three just so our corners can turn. So we're going to figure out where that middle loop is, and we're going to put 3 single crochet into that middle loop just so our work can turn, and then we're going to continue with more single crochet. Once when we get to this peak, do the same thing over here, and then we're going to single crochet until we get to this corner. Go ahead and cut and tie. Once we're done with our single crochet row all the way around, next we're going to connect this long part all the way up until we get to this corner, and then once we reach here, we're going to introduce the rest of the dress so that we can connect it to the dress. But from here, all we're going to do is just fold our work in half. We're going to sandwich it together, insert our hook in through the first single crochet on the other side. Since our hook is still through this side, we're just going to yarn over and pull through just to secure it. And then this is going to be the same thing as the shoulder strap, so insert your hook in through one loop on one side, the same loop on the other side, and then we're going to single crochet through, and then we're going to do that all the way down until we reach this point right here. So once when we have successfully single crocheted all the way up our sleeve, now we're going to introduce our dress like I said, and we are going to attach the sleeve onto the dress. And I didn't cut and tie, so I'm just going to insert my hook in through the bottom of the dress, and we're going to yarn over, pull through, to secure it. And before we get started, we are going to make sure that all the seams are all on the same side, so the dress should be flipped inside out. So this shoulder seam is on top, and then this seam is facing out as well. But from here, we're just going to take the closest side of the sleeve that's to us, and then take this side of the dress. We're going to insert our hook in through the next loop, in through the same loop, but into the sleeve. And then we're going to single crochet to secure it. So the same way that we've been combining everything else. So we're going to keep doing that all the way around. So we made it to the top of the sleeve, and as you remember, we did an increase of 3 into the top, and we just need to combine that because that is where our sleeve gets too long. So we're going to insert our hook in through the first loop, yarn over, pull through, and we're going to go into the second loop into the sleeve, yarn over, pull through, do the same thing into the third, yarn over, pull through, and we're going to yarn over, pull through everything, including going through the dress. And then from here, that should even out all of our loops. So we're going to go ahead and continue going all the way down with single crochet. And this is our sleeve when we have flipped it inside out, and it is all attached. And we're going to do this entire thing one more time and attach it to the other side. So we just got done attaching both of our sleeves, and now we're going to be working on the collar. And before we start working on the colored portion of the collar, we're just going to go in with a row of single crochet just to make it a little bit cleaner. So we're going to insert our hook into any one of these loops, it doesn't matter, yarn over, pull through, and then just put 1 single crochet into every loop that we have, going all the way around. And then once we meet back, we're going to connect with a slip stitch. So we just finished putting the row of single crochet all the way around, and now we're going to start working on the collar. First, I need to find my collar colors. Hold on. Okay, found my yarn. So as you guys can see, I went ahead and marked off where I want my collars to start. So I tried this on, and then I marked this off right where my collarbone is. And then from there, I went ahead and measured from this point down to the bottom, and that is 6 inches. And we're only going to measure that so that we know how many inches we need in order to increase. And by increase, I mean do a bigger stitch. So we're going to start off with 2 inches of single crochet, 2 inches of half double crochet, and then 2 inches of double crochet, and then do the same thing on the other side but in reverse so that the middle part is thicker. So we're going to insert our hook into where the marker is, grab our yarn, make a slip knot, pull that through, and like I said, I have a total of 6 inches from one side all the way down to the V. So 2 inches of single, 2 inches of half double, 2 inches of double. I'll meet you back once when we're done. So since we're at the middle with our double crochets and we don't want this to buckle, we're just going to do a decrease really quickly. So we're going to prepare for a double crochet, insert our hook into the first loop, yarn over, pull through, into the second loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3, yarn over, pull through 2, and then that's how we're going to keep it from buckling. And then we're going to do the same thing down to the other marker. So we have our first row of our collar done, and we're going to do one more row, and our next row is going to be front and back post stitches. So from here, we're going to chain up 1, flip our work, and then whatever kind of stitches we did for the previous row, we're going to continue with that, but keeping in mind that we're going to be doing front and back post. So as you can see, the first few that I have are single crochets. So we're going to insert our hook behind this first single crochet just like this. This is a front post stitch. I was going to say double crochet. And then we're going to single crochet. And then into the next one, we're going to be doing a back one. So we're going to insert our hook behind our work and then single crochet just like normal. And then this is going to give our work a ridging effect that we want just for the collar. So we're going to continue to do that. Once when we get to the half double crochets, we're going to continue doing front and back post half double crochets and then continue on with that pattern all the way around. And then as you can see, this is starting to stick out from the collar a little bit, but don't worry about that. We'll come back and fix that in a little bit. So we're all done doing the main collar portion, and we're going to go back and fill in this part so that there's no gap. So how we do that is we're going to insert our hook actually into the side of the collar where the first row is. So you just got to find a loop, insert that, and then you can use whatever color you want. I'm going to use my base color. And then from here, I'm just going to pull through and then put 1 single crochet into every loop. Once we get to the base of the neck or the back of the neck, I'm going to connect with a slip stitch. So I've single crocheted all the way down, and like I said, we're going to slip stitch into the back, and we're just going to see where the first loop of the back part is, and it is right here. We're just going to insert our hook with a slip stitch. And then we're just going to do one more row of single crochet because that should even everything out. So we're going to slip stitch into the next loop, flip our work, and then put one single crochet into every loop. And then once when we meet here, we're going to connect with a slip stitch and then cut and tie and do the same thing on the other side. So we are all done doing this collar portion, and one of the last things that we have to do is do the hood. And in order to do that, I am going to be doing a pattern within the first few rows of the hood. So since we're doing that, we're going to look at this ridged collar portion, and then we're going to count out 3 loops. We're going to count 1, 2, 3, insert our hook into that third loop that's down from the first one. Insert our hook, and then at this point you're going to try this on and then measure around your head to see how many inches you need. And I went ahead and measured mine, and I need 29 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and then attach it to the same loop on the other side, so the third one down on this ridged collar portion, with a slip stitch. So as you guys can see, I'm done with the chain for my hood, and I have already inserted my hook into the second loop that's going towards the outside of the collar with my second color. And if you guys aren't going to do a pattern, then you guys can just continue doing the rest of the hood without messing with any of these things that I'm about to do. But since we're here, all I'm going to do is chain up 1 to secure, and then insert my hook into the chain and just put 1 single crochet in through every single chain that we have, and then slip stitch into the same loop but on the other side. So we're done doing our second row of our base color, and now we're going to do our little detail that we have for the hood, and that is actually going to be the same type of pillars that we did for the sleeve and for the bottom of the dress. And as you guys already know, go ahead and count out, see how many loops you have. I have 90. Pick out a number that's divisible by whatever number you have. I'm going to pick 9, and then we're going to start doing our little triangle pillars, whatever you guys want to call them. So we're going to pull our yarn through. We're going to single crochet into that first loop. And then for mine, since I picked 9, I'm going to do 1 single crochet, which I just did. Going to do 1 half double crochet into the next loop. 1 double crochet into the loop after that. A treble, and then a quad. This is number 5. Once when we hit this, we're going to work our way back down. So from here, we're going to do a treble, double, half double, single. And once we're done with that, we're going to work our way back up and then keep doing that pattern all the way until we get to this other side. And then we're going to connect into this last loop into this color for the collar, and then we're going to cut and tie. So this is what we should have once when we're done with our hood design. And then all we're going to do from here is just do 1 row of single crochet into every single loop that we have. And then we're not going to be doing an increase or a decrease. So we're going to insert our hook in through this first loop that we have, chain up 1 to secure. And from here, we're just going to be doing the same thing that we have been doing for all the other chevron portions that we have. So put 1 single crochet into every loop that we have. Once when we get to the high, point, peak, increase, whatever you guys want to call it, we're going to increase. Once when we get down here, we're going to decrease. And then once when we get to the end, we're not going to cut and tie, but we're not going to continue on with this pattern. We're going to do something else. I'll meet you back once when we have that done. So we're done doing our row of single crochet with the white all the way down. And now we're going to be working along the border and then into the back, into the other border for the main portion of the hood. And that is pretty simple. So just put 1 single crochet into every loop, and then we're going to connect with a slip stitch. But then obviously these protrude a little bit, so we're going to do some increases and some decreases where that is, but I'll show you how to do that once we get there. So we just made it all the way around with our single crochet, and as you can see, we're about to start our next row. But this beginning chevron portion protrudes out and then decreases in all of these different spots. So the way that we handled that with going back and forth with our single crochets is we're going to slip stitch into the next loop. That's just how we work our way up to the next row for any part that we're in. We're going to flip our work. And as you can see, this is increasing out towards the back of the dress. And then just to keep this all straight so that it doesn't have this kind of wave thing going on right here, we're actually going to decrease. And we're going to keep doing that for all the parts that protrude outwards. And then once when it starts to decrease in right here, we're going to increase. And then we're going to keep doing that throughout the entire thing on both sides because we're going to be working in a U. And then once when we get all the way up to the top, we're going to single crochet everything closed. So we're right in the middle of doing our hood, and I tried this on and everything is looking really great, but I will say that I need my hood to be a little bit bigger. And if you guys have that same problem, then I will show you guys how I increase. So I'm about 3 inches up from where we started doing the hood, which is right here. And I went ahead and went in about halfway with this row of single crochet. And then I'm just going to do an increase of 3 right into the middle. So put 1, 2, 3 single crochet into that middle loop. And then continue on doing single crochets and then keep doing what we've been doing on these sides. And then if you need to, go ahead and keep increasing in the middle until you get to the size that you need, and then you can go ahead and stop. So we have finally made it all the way up to the top with our hood, and now we just need to sew everything in together. So what I did was I took a decent amount of our working yarn and I cut it, and from here I'm just going to flip this inside out, bring our yarn through, and then I'm just going to sandwich this together and then single crochet, making sure I'm going in through both loops just like before. And once we single crochet it all the way down, we're going to chain up 1 and cut, or pull it all the way through. And then from here, we're just going to flip this inside out. So one of the last things that we have to do when we're done with the hood is do the drawstring that goes around the hood. And before I said that my drawstring was 29 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and make a chain that's a little bit longer. That's 35 inches. So now that I'm done making the chain for our string to go around our hood, now we're just going to weave it through. So we're going to insert it onto our tapestry needle or whatever tool you have. You could use a hook if you want. And from here, I'm just going to insert it right where the collar meets the design of the hood. And I'm going to be weaving it in and out of every other loop. So we are now done weaving our drawstring in and out of every loop into the design of the hood. And this next part is completely optional, but I added some tassels. And if you would like, in order to do a tassel, you're going to grab a card and you're going to wrap the same color yarn around your card. And remember, the more you wrap, the thicker the tassel will be. Now, once we've wrapped it to our liking, next we're going to grab our hook. Then we're going to slide that underneath all of the yarn that's on our card. Grab one end of our drawstring and we're going to pull that underneath everything that we have. And then from here, we're just going to tie it at the top, nice and tight. And once we have that, we're going to cut the tail, and we're also going to cut a little strand so that we can tie it all together, just like how we did on this side. But from here, we're going to slide everything off the card. We're going to place our bundle of yarn on top of that stray strand that we have, and we're just going to tie a knot really, really tight. And this is what our tassel should be looking like right now. And then from here, we're just going to do double knots as many times as we need to, just to make sure that it's nice and secure. Once we have that, we are going to free all of these ends. So go ahead and just cut them. And then lastly, we're going to cut everything on here so that it's all even. And we are done with our tassels. And the last thing that we have to do is weave in all of our ends. And after a few days and some tears, our chevron dress is finally finished. This dress has put me through a roller coaster of emotions over the last week, but it is all worth it. I love it so much, and I really hope that you guys do too. If you like this piece or any other piece on the channel, go ahead and give this a thumbs up. It's right beneath the video. It lets YouTube and I know you're enjoying the video, and it goes a long way to helping the channel grow so I can keep gaining traction. But if you guys didn't like it, go ahead and give it a thumbs down, but leave a comment letting me know why you didn't like it. Or if you have any questions, or if you want to leave a request, or if you just want to say hi, I usually reply pretty quick. If you love it, do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It's right beneath the video too. It'll let you know when a new video is uploaded to the channel, get you a bit my priority for requests, and it goes a long way to helping the channel grow so I can keep making great videos for you guys. And if you're already subscribed, thank you, but please hit that notification bell as well so you know when there's an upload right away. And also don't forget to share with your crafty friends, every bit helps. Links to the yarn and the hooks will be in the description. If you guys buy something using those links, it also goes to helping out the channel. Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest links are down there as well. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see y'all in the next one.